The morning sun was rising over Geneva when the alien ship appeared in Earth's sky. It was not like anything humans had ever seen before. The ship was made of what looked like clear crystal, but it glowed with a soft blue light. It was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. People all over the world stopped what they were doing to stare at their television screens. Admiral Hyun-woo Kim was drinking his morning coffee when his phone started ringing. He was the head of Earth's defense ministry, and he knew this call would change everything. His assistant told him that the alien ship was asking to meet with Earth's leaders. They wanted to talk. Within 2 hours, the most important people on Earth were sitting in a large meeting room in Geneva. Admiral Kim sat at the head of the table. Next to him was General So-young Park, who controlled Earth's armies. Captain Tae-min, Lee was there too. He was young but very smart, and he understood alien technology better than most people. Dr. Mi-kyung Choi sat near the back of the room. She was a scientist who studied alien life forms. Earth had found a few crashed alien ships over the years, and she had learned a lot from them. She was nervous, but excited. This was the first time humans would meet living aliens. The room became very quiet when the alien appeared. She did not walk through the door like a human would. Instead, she seemed to step out of thin air. The air around her shimmered like water, and then she was there. She was tall and thin, with pale blue skin. The most shocking thing about her was that she had 6 eyes. They were arranged in 2 rows on her face, and they all moved independently. "I am Ambassador Velthara of the Galactic Council," she said. Her voice was strange, like the sound of wind blowing through metal tubes. "I speak for all civilized species in this galaxy." Admiral Kim stood up slowly. He had practiced this moment many times, but his hands were still shaking. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "I am Admiral Hyun-woo Kim. We represent all of humanity." The alien's 6 eyes all focused on him at once. It was very uncomfortable. "You will listen," she said. "You will not speak until I am finished." Dr. Choi watched the alien carefully. She had small devices hidden in her clothes that could measure the alien's body temperature and heart rate. What she was seeing made her worried. The alien was scared. Her body temperature was higher than normal, and her breathing was fast. This was not how someone acted when they felt safe and in control. "Your species has existed for a short time," Velthara continued. "In galactic terms, you are children. But you have become dangerous children. You have developed weapons. You have spread to other planets. You fight each other constantly. This cannot continue." General Park's face was getting red. She did not like being called a child, especially by someone who looked like a giant insect. But Admiral Kim gave her a look that said to stay quiet. "The Galactic Council has made a decision about your species," the alien said. "You have 48 of your hours to make a choice. You will give up all of your weapons. You will stop your expansion to other worlds. You will allow us to move your people to planets where you can live safely under our protection. If you agree to this, your species will survive." "And if we don't agree?" Admiral Kim asked. All 6 of Velthara's eyes turned to look at him again. "Then your species will be removed from the galaxy. Completely. Your planet will be cleansed and new. Life will be allowed to grow there. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact." The room was completely silent. Captain Lee was writing notes as fast as he could. Dr. Choi was still watching her instruments. The alien's fear was getting stronger, not weaker. Why would someone who was threatening to destroy Earth be afraid? "You have 48 hours, Velthara repeated. "We will return for your answer." She started to disappear the same way she had arrived. The air around her began to shimmer. "Wait!" Dr. Choi called out. "Why are you doing this? Why now?" The alien paused. For a moment, all 6 eyes looked sad. "Because 3 months ago, we learned what your species is capable of. We cannot allow that to spread to others." Then she was gone. The room exploded with voices. Everyone was talking at once. Admiral Kim hit the table with his hand to make them quiet. "Jinho," he called to a man sitting near the door. Jinho Nam was the head of Earth's intelligence service. He knew secrets that even Admiral Kim did not know. "What happened 3 months ago?" Jinho opened a folder he had been carrying. The deep space exploration ship Daejeon encountered an alien patrol in the Kepler system. The aliens were attacking a civilian transport ship. Captain Han Sol Park ordered the Daejeon to help. "And?" General Park asked. "The Daejeon disabled 6 alien warships without destroying them. They saved the transport ship and 300 civilian aliens. Then they let the alien patrol go free with a message of peace." Dr. Choi understood immediately. They're not afraid of our weapons. They're afraid of our ideas. Admiral Kim nodded slowly. They saw humans risk their lives to save aliens they had never met before. They saw us show mercy to enemies who were shooting at us. And that scares them, Captain Lee added. Because if other species see humans acting that way, they might start asking questions about why the Council treats them like children. Admiral Kim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the alien ship hanging in the sky like a small moon. People were gathering in the streets, pointing at it. "Get me President Song," he said. "We need to talk to all the colonies, Mars, Luna Base, the asteroid mining stations, everyone." "What are you going to tell them?" General Park asked. Admiral Kim turned around. His face was serious but calm. "I'm going to tell them that some bullies just threatened our family. And I'm going to ask them what humans do to bullies." Dr. Choi smiled. She knew what humans did to bullies. They stood up to them. The 48-hour countdown had begun. But Admiral Kim was not worried about finding an answer. He already knew what humanity's answer would be. The only question was whether the Galactic Council was ready to hear it. Outside the window, the alien ship continued to float in the sky. It was waiting for humanity's surrender. It was going to be waiting for a very long time. The elevator went down for a very long time. Chief Engineer Dong-hyun Kang counted the floors as they passed. 20 floors underground, 30, 40. Finally, the elevator stopped at level 52, deep beneath the surface of Titan, one of Saturn's moons. The doors opened to show the biggest secret humans had ever kept. The room was enormous, like an underground city. Hundreds of people were working on machines that looked like they came from science fiction movies. But they were real, and they were almost ready. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Dong-hyun said to the group of military officers who had come to see what humanity had been building in secret. "We've been working on this for 15 years. Captain Yun-ji Han was one of the officers. She was young but very experienced. She had been flying spaceships since she was 20 years old. Now she was 35 and commanded one of Earth's fastest ships. At least, she thought she did until she saw what was in front of her. The ship was beautiful and deadly at the same time. It was black, like the space between stars, and its surface seemed to move like liquid metal. It was not very big, compared to the alien ship that was threatening Earth, but something about it made Captain Han feel excited and scared at the same time. "This is the Soul's Vengeance," Dong-hyun explained. "It's not like any ship we've ever built before. The hull can change its shape, the engines can make it invisible to most scanners, and the weapons, well, let me show you." Lieutenant Woo Jin-yu stepped forward. He was younger than Captain Han, maybe 28 years old. He looked like he had not slept in days. "I designed the stealth system," he said proudly. "The ship can copy the electromagnetic signature of anything, space rocks, dead satellites, even other ships." "How?" Captain Han asked. "We learned a lot from the alien ships that crashed on Earth over the years," Woo Jin explained. "But we didn't just copy their technology. We made it better. Aliens seem to think in straight lines. They build things that do one job very well. Humans think in circles. We build things that can do many jobs. Admiral Kim's voice came over the communication system. "All units, prepare for combat. The alien advance fleet has arrived early." Everyone in the room stopped working. They looked up at the screens that showed space above Earth. 12 huge alien ships were appearing out of nowhere. Each one was the size of a small city. They were dark gray and covered with weapons that glowed red like angry eyes. "They're beautiful," Dr. Haewon Shin said quietly. She was Earth's best physicist, and she was standing next to a control panel covered with buttons and screens. "And they're about to learn that beautiful things can die." The alien ships arranged themselves in a line. They were still very far from Earth, but their weapons could reach the planet easily. A message came from the lead ship. It was the same alien who had visited Geneva. "People of Earth," Velthera's voice said, "your time is over. You chose not to surrender. Now you will face the consequences." Captain Han was already running toward the Soul's vengeance. "Come on, Wu Jin. Let's see if your stealth system works." The ship's crew was small, only 12 people. They had all trained together for months, but they had never flown the ship in real combat. Captain Han sat in the pilot's seat and felt the ship come alive around her. The controls were different from any ship she had flown before. They seemed to respond to her thoughts as much as her hands. "Ghost protocol activated," Wu Jin reported. "We're invisible to their scanners now." High above Earth, the alien fleet was getting ready to attack. But they were not attacking a defenseless planet. All around Earth's orbit, things that looked like communication satellites and mining equipment were changing. Panels opened to reveal weapons. Engines that had been hidden turned on. In seconds, Earth was surrounded by hundreds of armed platforms. "All units, this is Dr. Shin," came the voice over the radio. "Remember, these aliens have never fought humans before. They don't know what we can do. Let's teach them." The first alien ship fired at Earth. A beam of red energy shot toward the planet like a laser. But before it could reach the surface, it hit one of the hidden defense platforms. The platform's shields absorbed the energy and fired it back at the alien ship. The alien ship's own weapon hit its hull and made a hole the size of a building. The alien commander was confused. The defense platform had used the alien ship's own energy against it. That was not supposed to be possible. More alien ships began firing. But Earth's defense platforms were not where the aliens expected them to be. Some platforms were disguised as space junk. Others were hidden behind the moon. A few were actually inside asteroids that had been hollowed out and filled with weapons. Captain Minho Jian was leading a group of fighter ships that had been built on Earth. They were much smaller than the alien ships, but they moved like birds compared to the slow alien vessels. The alien ships could only fire in straight lines, but the human fighters moved in all directions at once. "This is Tiger Leader," Captain John called over the radio. "Their big ships can't hit us if we stay close to them. It's like fighting elephants with wasps." The alien ships tried to form a defensive formation, but they were not used to fighting enemies who could think for themselves. Their ships were controlled by computers that followed pre-programmed battle plans. The human fighters were controlled by pilots who made up new plans every few seconds. Captain Han brought the Soul's vengeance close to the alien command ship. "Wu Jin, can you hack into their communications?" "Already working on it," he replied. His fingers were flying over his control panel. "Their security is strong, but it's designed to keep out other aliens. It's not designed to keep out humans who think sideways." The battle was going better than anyone had hoped. The alien ships were powerful, but they were not ready for human tactics. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other, and they had learned to be creative and unpredictable. But then Intelligence Officer Ye Jin-O's voice came over the communication system from Earth. Her voice was worried. "All ships, we have a problem. I'm detecting a massive hyperspace signature. Something big is coming." Dr. Shin checked her instruments. "How big?" 1,000 ships, Ye-Jin replied. "Maybe more. The real alien fleet is coming and they'll be here in 6 hours." The battle stopped for a moment. Everyone realized that they had just fought the easy part. The aliens had sent a small group first to test Earth's defenses. Now that they knew what humans could do, they were sending everything they had. Captain Han looked at her crew. They were tired but excited. They had just proved that humans could fight aliens and win. But 1,000 ships was a lot more than 12. "What are your orders, Admiral?" she asked over the radio. Admiral Kim's voice was calm and strong. "We've shown them that Earth won't surrender. Now we show them that Earth doesn't know how to lose. All ships, prepare for the real fight." The alien advance fleet was retreating, but they left behind a message. It was not from Ambassador Velthara. It was from someone much more important. "Humans of Earth," the new voice said. "I am High Commander Zefkorin of the Galactic Council War Fleet. You have surprised us today. You fight like no other species. We have encountered, but you have only delayed your fate. When we return, we will bring enough ships to block out your sun. Prepare yourselves." Captain Han smiled. "Let them come," she said. "We'll be ready." Commander Seok Jin Bei stood on the bridge of the Busan Rising and looked at the stars ahead. His ship was the largest that humans had ever built, but it still felt small compared to the distance they had to travel. They were going to attack an alien base in the Kepler 442 system, 300 light-years from Earth. "How long until we reach the target?" he asked. 6 hours if we push the engines to maximum," replied Lieutenant Commander Hee Jin Ko. She was the ship's engineer, and she understood the new faster-than-light drive better than anyone except the people who had built it. The Busan Rising was carrying 500 of Earth's best soldiers. They were going to attack a Galactic Council supply base that provided weapons and ships to 20 alien fleets. If they could destroy it, the Council's attack on Earth would have to be delayed. Dr. Bo Young Lim was sitting at her station, studying information about the aliens they might meet. She was a xenopsychologist, which meant she studied how alien minds worked. What she had learned from the captured alien communications was very interesting and very scary. "Commander," she said, "I need to tell you something about the aliens we're going to fight." Seok Jin walked over to her station. "What did you find?" "The Galactic Council isn't like human governments," she explained. "Human leaders have to convince people to follow them. But the Council uses genetic modification and mind control to make other species obey them. Most aliens in the galaxy have never made a free choice in their entire lives." "That's horrible," said Sergeant Ji-Hoon Kwon. He was the leader of the Special Forces team that would attack the alien base. "How can anyone live like that?" "They don't know any other way," Dr. Lim replied. "For most alien species, the idea of choosing your own path is completely foreign. That's why the Council is so afraid of humans. We show other species that there's another way to live." The ship's communication system made a noise that meant they were receiving a message, but it was not coming from Earth. It was coming from somewhere nearby. "Commander, we're being contacted by an unknown ship," reported Communications Officer Gi-tae Moon. "It's not using Council frequencies." "Put it on the main screen," Seok Jin ordered. The screen showed a creature that looked like a giant insect, but it was wearing colorful clothes and jewelry. It had large compound eyes and antennae that moved constantly. When it spoke, its voice was high and musical. "Human ship, please do not attack," the creature said. "I am Thikri of the Kalari Trading Collective. We wish to help you." Dr. Lim was excited. The Kalari were one of the few species in the galaxy that the Council had not completely controlled. They were merchants who traveled between different worlds, and they valued information more than anything else. "Why do you want to help us?" Seok Jin asked. "Because you are fighting the Council," Thikri replied, "and because you saved my cousins' ship in the Kepler system 3 months ago. The Kalari do not forget kindness." "What can you tell us about the base we're going to attack?" Thikri's antennae moved faster. "It is heavily defended, but the defenders are not expecting an attack. The Council has not been attacked in over 200 years. Their soldiers follow orders perfectly, but they cannot think for themselves when something unexpected happens. Can you show us the base's defenses?" "I can do better than that," Thikri said. I can take you inside. My ship has permission to deliver supplies to the base. If you can make your ship look like a Kalari trader, you can come with me." Lieutenant Woojin Yu, who was on board as a technical specialist, was excited. "Our hull can change appearance. It will take 2 hours, but we can make the ship look like anything. Do it," Seokjin ordered. While the ship was being modified, Sergeant Kwon and his team prepared for the mission. They studied the base's layout and planned their attack. The base was built inside a large asteroid, with tunnels and chambers carved out of the rock. There were about 500 alien soldiers stationed there, plus workers and technicians. "The most important target is the central computer core," Sergeant Kwon explained to his team. "If we can capture it intact, we'll have access to all the Council's military communications. That information could help Earth win the war." Corporal Ah Young Seo raised her hand. "What if the plan goes wrong? What if we can't stick together?" "Then we improvise," Sergeant Kwon replied. "Remember, these aliens have never fought an enemy that could think creatively. If the original plan fails, make up a new one. Confuse them. Make them react to you instead of following their own plans." 2 hours later, the Busan Rising looked like a Kalari trading ship. It was covered with fake rust and random equipment that made it look old and harmless. Thikri's ship guided them toward the alien base. The base looked like a small moon, but it was covered with weapon platforms and communication dishes. Ships were constantly coming and going, carrying supplies to the Council fleets throughout the galaxy. "Kalari Trader Prophet's Dream, you are cleared to dock at Bay 7, came a message from the base's traffic controller. "Acknowledged," Thikri replied. "We are carrying medical supplies and recreational equipment for the base personnel." The 2 ships docked at the base without any problems. The alien guards were bored and did not inspect the cargo carefully. They had been doing the same job for years, and nothing interesting ever happened at the supply base. Sergeant Kwon and his team were hidden inside fake cargo containers. When the containers were taken into the base, they waited until they were alone, then broke out and began their mission. The base was much bigger inside than it looked from outside. The tunnels were wide enough for large vehicles, and the ceilings were high. The aliens who built it were much taller than humans. "Team Alpha, take the communication center," Sergeant Kwon whispered into his radio. "Team Beta, secure the power generators. Team Gamma, you're with me. We're going after the computer core." The aliens inside the base were not ready for human tactics. Corporal SEO led Team Alpha through the ventilation system, something the aliens had never considered as a route for attackers. Team Beta used the base's own maintenance robots as weapons, reprogramming them to attack the alien guards. When the Yaxi alarms started ringing, the alien defenders tried to form defensive positions at key intersections. But the humans were not attacking the intersections. They were using service tunnels, maintenance shafts, and even the water pipes to move around. "The base. This is impossible," one alien commander said to another. "The attackers are in 6 different places at once. How can such a small force be everywhere?" "Split up and surround them," the other commander replied. But when the alien forces split up, each human team broke into smaller groups. Suddenly, instead of fighting 50 humans in 3 groups, the aliens were fighting 50 humans in 15 groups, all attacking different targets. Sergeant Kwon reached the computer core with only 2 other soldiers. The room was enormous, filled with glowing crystals that stored information. At the center of the room was a single alien technician, staring at his control panel in confusion. "The database is being accessed from multiple locations," the technician was saying to himself. "But that's impossible. Only I have the access codes." Gitae Moon's voice came over Sergeant Kwon's radio. "I've hacked into their network from the ship. I'm downloading everything I can, but I need more time." "How much time?" Sergeant Kwon asked. 10 minutes. The alien reinforcements were coming. Sergeant Kwon could hear their footsteps in the tunnels outside, but 10 minutes was a long Time to hold a position against superior numbers. All teams, we need to buy Gite 10 minutes, he said into his radio. Understood, came the replies from around the base. What happened next became legendary among human soldiers. 50 humans, outnumbered 10 to 1, held an entire alien base. For 10 minutes, using nothing but creativity and stubbornness. They used every trick they could think of, and when they ran out of tricks, they invented new ones. When the 10 minutes were up, Gite announced that he had successfully downloaded the entire Council database, the human teams fighting throughout. The base began their retreat, but they did not leave empty-handed. They had captured 12 alien prisoners, including 2 officers who knew about the Council's future plans. As the Busan Rising departed from the asteroid base, Seok Jin looked at the information they had gathered. It was more valuable than they had hoped. They now knew the location of every Council fleet, the schedule for the attack on Earth, and most importantly, the names of other species that were secretly opposed to Council rule. "Commander," Dr. Lim said excitedly, "according to this data, there are resistance movements on over 30 worlds. They're small and hidden, but they exist. If we can contact them, we can turn this war into a revolution," Seok Jin finished. "Gite, send a message to Earth. Tell them we're coming home. With friends." Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Ryu stood in the command center deep beneath Luna Base and watched the holographic display that showed the entire solar system. Red dots represented the Council's main fleet, which was now only 6 hours away from Earth. Blue dots showed human defenses, and they were everywhere. "Status report," he ordered. Captain Hyo-jin Park, who commanded the newest human warship Incheon's Defiance, appeared on the communication screen. Her ship was patrolling near Jupiter, ready to intercept any Council forces that tried to attack the outer colonies. "All systems ready, Admiral," she reported. "The new adaptive hull plating is working perfectly. We took a direct hit from a Council scout ship yesterday, and the hull repaired itself in 12 minutes. "Excellent," Admiral Ryu replied. "What about the new weapons?" Engineering specialist Sang-Woo Kim stepped forward. "The self-guided projectiles are ready for combat testing. Each one has its own small computer that can make decisions during flight. They can change course, select new targets, or even work together to solve problems." Weapons specialist Na-young Lee was excited to explain her latest creation. "The projectiles are also equipped with learning algorithms. If the first one misses its target, the second one learns from that mistake and adjusts accordingly. By the full 4th or 5th shot, they're almost impossible to avoid." Admiral Ryu nodded. Human technology had advanced incredibly fast since the war began. It usually took years to develop new weapons, but humans had done it in months. The pressure of fighting for their survival had made them more creative than ever before. "Admiral," came a voice from the communication system. "This is General Kyung-Soo Han on Mars. We have a problem." The holographic display zoomed in on Mars. The red dots representing Council ships were not heading toward Earth as expected. They were heading toward Mars instead. "They're trying to bypass our main defenses," Admiral Ryu realized. "They think Mars will be easier to conquer than Earth." "They're wrong," General Han replied from Mars City. "We're ready for them." Mars had been humanity's first major colony outside Earth. 2 million people lived there working in the mines and factories that provided materials for Earth's war effort. The city was built inside a series of connected domes that protected the people from Mars's harsh environment. General Han was a veteran of many Earth wars, but this was his first time fighting aliens. He had spent weeks studying the battle reports from Earth's orbital defense and had learned something important. Aliens were very good at fighting battles, but humans were better at fighting wars. "All units, remember the plan," he said to his soldiers over the radio. "We're not going to meet them in open battle. We're going to make them fight for every building, every street, every room." The Council fleet that approached Mars was smaller than the main force attacking Earth, but it was still huge. 50 warships, each one capable of destroying a city with a single shot. They arranged themselves in orbit around Mars and began scanning the planet's defenses. What they found confused them. Mars City appeared to be defended by only a few weapon platforms and some small fighter ships. The Council Commander, War Leader, Kethmar, was suspicious. Humans had shown they were tricky fighters, but this seemed too easy. "Begin the assault," he ordered. "But be careful. Watch for traps." The first wave of alien soldiers landed in the hills outside Mars City. They were professional warriors trained to conquer planets quickly and efficiently. Their armor was strong enough to stop bullets, and their weapons could cut through steel. But when they reached the edge of the city, something strange happened. The streets were empty, but they could hear human voices coming from the buildings. The voices were talking, laughing, sometimes singing. It sounded like the humans were not afraid at all. "Squad leaders, report," ordered Battalion Commander Vexathul. "Sir, the humans appear to be hiding in the buildings," came the reply. "We can hear them, but we cannot see them." "Then go into the buildings and find them." The alien soldiers entered the first building carefully. It looked like a normal apartment building where humans lived. But when they got inside, they found that the walls had been modified. There were hidden passages connecting every room, and small holes that allowed humans to move around without being seen. The first alien to walk down a hallway was hit by a projectile that came from a hole in the ceiling. The second alien was hit by something that came from the floor. The third alien was hit by a projectile that bounced off 3 walls before finding its target. "This is Squad 7, came a panicked voice over the alien radio. "We are taking fire from all directions, but we cannot see the enemy." "Impossible," Battalion Commander Vexthul replied. "Use your thermal scanners to locate the humans." But the thermal scanners did not work as expected. The humans had filled the buildings with devices that gave off heat, making it impossible to tell which heat signatures were people and which were machines. In the basement of that same building, Corporal Minsuk Park was watching the alien soldiers on a small screen. Hidden cameras throughout the building showed him exactly where every alien was at all times. "Jin-A, 3 aliens are coming down the stairs toward your position," he whispered into his radio. "I see them," replied Private Jin-A Yoon from her hiding place inside the wall. Redirecting them toward Tai-Ho's position, she used a small device to make noises that sounded like human footsteps running down a different hallway. The aliens followed the sound, walking directly into a trap that Private Tae-Ho Shin had prepared. This was happening in every building throughout Mars City. The aliens were much stronger than humans, and their weapons were more powerful, but they were fighting in an environment that humans had designed specifically to confuse them. Above the city, War Leader Kethmar was getting frustrated. His soldiers had been fighting for 3 hours, but they had only captured 2 blocks of the city. Worse, they had lost 40 soldiers, while the humans seemed to have lost none. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving a transmission from the Kalari merchant ship Prophet's Dream. The Kalari are neutral in this war," Kethmar replied. "What do they want?" "They say they have information about human tactics. They want to sell it to us." Kethmar was suspicious, but he was also desperate. "Put them through." The screen showed Thikri, the Kalari trader. "Greetings, War Leader. I have been studying the humans for many months. I know how they think. What do you want in exchange for this information?" "Nothing," Thikri replied. "I give this to you as a gift. The humans are using their city's infrastructure against you. They have turned every building into a weapon. But there is a weakness. Their power grid is centralized. If you destroy the main power station, their defenses will fail." Kethmar looked at his tactical display. The power station was in the center of the city, heavily defended. But if it would end this battle quickly, it was worth the risk. "All units, new target," he ordered. "We assault the power station." The alien forces pulled back from the buildings they had been attacking and regrouped for a major assault on the city center. What they did not know was that Lieutenant Yun was listening to their communications from her hiding place in an abandoned council ship that had been captured months earlier. "General Han," she reported over a secure channel, "they're taking the bait. All alien forces are moving toward the power station." "Excellent," General Han replied. "All units, initiate Operation Mousetrap." The power station that the aliens were attacking was a decoy. The real power for Mars City came from fusion reactors hidden throughout the city, but the fake power station was filled with explosives and a very special surprise. When the alien forces surrounded the building, Da-Un activated a device that gave her control of their communication system. Suddenly, every alien soldier on Mars could hear her voice speaking in perfect galactic standard language. "Soldiers of the Galactic Council," she said, "you are fighting for leaders who treat you like slaves. You have never been allowed to choose your own path, make your own decisions, or even think your own thoughts. But humans can show you another way." Some of the alien soldiers stopped fighting and listened. They had never heard anyone question the Council's authority before. "Look around you," Da-Un continued. "You are trying to conquer people who are fighting to protect their families and their freedom. Is that really what you want to do with your lives?" War Leader Kethmar screamed at his communications officer to cut the transmission, but it was too late. The idea had been planted. For the first time in their lives, some of the Council soldiers were thinking for themselves. 3 alien soldiers put down their weapons and walked toward the human lines with their hands raised. Then 5 more. Then an entire squad. "This is Squadron Leader Velthari to all Council forces," came a new voice over the alien communication system. "I am ordering my ships to withdraw from Mars orbit. I will not attack civilians who are only defending their homes." Kethmar watched in horror as 4 of his ships broke formation and jumped away into hyperspace. The remaining ships were loyal to the Council, but they were outnumbered by the defecting forces. The battle for Mars ended not with a great explosion, but with alien soldiers asking human soldiers to teach them what freedom meant. Admiral Ryu watched from Luna Base as the Council's attack fell apart. They had won a victory. Admiral Su-Jin Chung looked out from the bridge of her flagship Soul's Victory at the most incredible sight in galactic history. Surrounding her ship were vessels from dozens of different worlds. Kalari traders flew next to human destroyers. Crystalline Nexari ships that looked like living diamonds moved in formation with converted Council warships piloted by rebel crews. "Fleet status report," she ordered. 1,200 ships ready for combat, reported Captain Hoseok Jung from the communication station. 700 human vessels, 300 rebel council ships, and 200 allied species craft. "The Nexari have brought their crystal ships," added Lieutenant Commander Yujin Kang. "Their weapons can cut through council armor like it's made of paper." Admiral Chung nodded. The alliance that humanity had created was stronger than anyone had imagined possible. When news of Earth's resistance had spread throughout the galaxy, oppressed species everywhere had found the courage to fight back. On the bridge's main screen, the Council's homeworld of Hegemon Prime grew larger as the Liberation Fleet approached. The planet was beautiful, covered with cities that looked like they were made of silver and glass. But it was also surrounded by the most powerful defense network in the galaxy. "Admiral," came a transmission from the planet's surface. "This is High Counselor Zeftai. You are approaching a restricted world. Turn back immediately or face destruction." "This is Admiral Su-Jin Chung of the Galactic Liberation Fleet," she replied. "We are here to offer the people of your world the same choice we have offered all species, the right to decide their own future. The Council has maintained order in this galaxy for 1,000 years, Zeftai responded. We will not allow a single primitive species to destroy everything we have built." "Then you have chosen to fight," Admiral Chung said sadly. "All ships, begin the liberation of Hegemon Prime." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council's defense fleet was powerful and disciplined, but the Liberation Fleet fought with something the Council had never encountered: the willingness to sacrifice for others' freedom. Captain Young coordinated the orbital assault while Colonel Yoon Young Kim prepared to lead the ground forces. But as the Liberation Fleet fought its way through the planet's defenses, they discovered something that changed everything. "Admiral," reported Dr. Young Min Choi from the science vessel Dijon's Hope, "I'm detecting massive biological integration throughout the planet's ecosystem. The Council leadership isn't just living on this world, they've made themselves part of it." "What does that mean?" Admiral Chung asked. "If we remove the Council leaders by force, we might destroy the planet's entire biosphere. Millions of innocent people would die." Admiral Chung was faced with an impossible choice. She could win the war by destroying the Council's leadership, but the cost would be the lives of everyone on the planet. Or she could find another way, one that had never been tried before in galactic history. "All ships, cease fire," she ordered. "I'm going down to the planet's surface." "Admiral, that's too dangerous," Captain Jung protested. "They'll kill you the moment you land." "Maybe," she replied, "but maybe they'll listen. Open a channel to the planet." The main screen showed the interior of the Council's great chamber. Dozens of alien beings sat in a circle, each one representing a different species that the Council controlled. At the center sat High Counselor Zeftai, the oldest and most powerful of the Council members. "I am coming to your world," Admiral Chung announced. "I want to speak with you face to face." "You wish to surrender?" Zeftai asked. "I wish to offer you something that no one has ever offered the Council before," she replied. "A choice." 6 hours later, Admiral Chung stood in the Council chamber wearing only her dress uniform and carrying no weapons. Around her sat beings who had ruled the galaxy for centuries, and they were all staring at her with curiosity and fear. "You have disrupted the natural order," Zeftai said. "Chaos follows in your wake. Entire worlds are rebelling against their rightful leaders." "Rightful? According to whom?" Admiral Chung asked. "Did the people of those worlds choose their leaders? Or were those leaders imposed upon them?" "Order must be maintained," replied Counselor Velthera, the same alien who had delivered the ultimatum to Earth months earlier. "Without the Council's guidance, species make poor choices. They fight wars. They damage their environments. They create suffering." "Yes, they do," Admiral Chung agreed. "Freedom is messy. Free people make mistakes. Sometimes they make terrible mistakes. But they also create amazing things. They solve problems in ways that no one expected. They sacrifice themselves to save strangers. They reach for the stars even when it seems impossible." "And this is better than peace and order?" asked another counselor. "I don't know," Admiral Chung admitted. "But I think everyone should have the right to find out for themselves." The chamber was quiet for a long moment. These beings had never been challenged like this before. They had always simply imposed their will on others. "What are you proposing?" Zeftai asked finally. "Join us," Admiral Chung said. "Not as rulers, but as equals. Help us build something new. A galactic community where every species has a voice, where decisions are made together, not imposed from above." "Impossible," Zeftai replied. "The galaxy would tear itself apart." "Maybe," Admiral Chung said again. "But maybe it would become something wonderful. Don't you want to find out?" In the corner of the chamber, a younger council member named Velsara stood up. She was Velthara's daughter, and she had been listening to human broadcasts for months. "I want to find out," she said quietly. "Velsara, sit down," her mother ordered. "No," the younger alien replied. "For the first time in my life, I'm making my own choice. I want to see what the galaxy looks like when people are free to choose their own path." More young council members began to stand. Not all of them, but enough to show that change was possible. High Counselor Zeftai looked around at his fractured council. The old order was already breaking apart. He could fight to preserve it, but that would mean destroying everything he had spent his life trying to protect. "What guarantees can you offer?" he asked Admiral Chung. "How do we know that this alliance of yours won't simply become a new form of tyranny?" "You don't," she replied honestly. "There are no guarantees. That's what freedom means. But I can promise you this. In our alliance, no one species rules over the others. Decisions are made by consensus, and every member has the right to leave if they choose." "And what happens to us? The council members who have ruled for so long?" "You become citizens," Admiral Chung said, "equal to everyone else. Free to contribute your knowledge and experience, but not free to impose your will on others." The debate continued for hours. Some council members were convinced, others were horrified, and still others were simply confused. But slowly, gradually, a majority began to form around the idea of transformation rather than destruction. The war ended not with a great battle, but with a vote. The Galactic Council voted to dissolve itself and join the new Galactic Freedom Coalition as equal members. 6 months later, Commander Jinwoo Lee stood on the bridge of the mobile station Unity's Dream, watching as representatives from 200 worlds worked together to solve a problem that no single species could handle alone. The station was one of 12 that moved constantly throughout the galaxy, ensuring that no single location could become the center of power. "Status report," he requested. "The Vegan colonies have successfully implemented democratic elections," reported his aide. "The Altarian Republic has established its first free press, and the former council worlds are adapting to self-governance faster than anyone expected." "Any problems?" "A few," his aide admitted. "The Centauri system is having a trade dispute with the Proxima colonies. The Nexari want to establish a new form of crystalline art that some species find disturbing, and there's a philosophical argument between 3 different worlds about the nature of consciousness." Commander Lee smiled. "In other words, normal problems that free people can solve for themselves." "Yes, sir." Earth's ultimatum response had indeed changed the galaxy, but not in the way anyone had expected. Instead of conquering their enemies, humans had taught them to be free. Instead of imposing their will on others, they had created a community where everyone had a voice. The galaxy was messier now, and louder, and more chaotic than it had been under council rule. But it was also more alive, more creative, and more hopeful than it had ever been before. And in the end, that made all the difference.